So Futerra, we are a sustainability agency. We do strategy, behaviour change, creative comms. I wanted to talk to you guys about a brilliant model for thinking about behaviour change. And it's great in terms of thinking about changing your own behaviour, changing the behaviour of the group that you live, work, play with, and also thinking about projects that you're doing and how effective you can be at changing behaviour. The model came from the COI, Something Office of Information, so a big government body, and they did a big piece of work looking at behavioural economics and behaviour change, got all the models together, checked it all out, and the simplest way they could come up with describing it is there were sort of 3 dimensions to it. First off is the personal level, so the individual, you, and thinking about behaviour change at that level means, are you tapping into what it is that person cares about? Are you trying to work with their value sets and the kind of things that motivate them, or are you trying to work against it by encouraging them to change the behaviour? You know, at this level, it's about thinking about the emotional side of change and also the rational side of change. And a lot of the time with behaviour change, it tends to start in a rational space because, doing plans and everything, and you put PowerPoint slides together and decks, and it starts in that space, and very rarely do people kind of get into the emotional piece. But that's really key because it's emotions that make us do stuff, We know that smoking's bad for us, but we still do it because it's a habit, or our mates do it, or we have a beer and it's like, oh, I shouldn't, but all right, I'll have a cigarette. So there's that emotional, rational balance to get right. And one of the best examples of this that I've seen recently is a little app called Everest. Anyone used it, seen it? It's effectively like a to-do list, right? You kind of say, hey, this is what I want to achieve. My goal, my dream, my Mount Everest. And then it kind of, reminds you about daily things that you're going to do towards that goal. Like, what are the actions you're doing? Are you still doing it? You're failing on this? Oh, well done for doing that really well. And it's effectively a to-do list, but that kind of language of the use of dreams and kind of a goal that you want to achieve, and that sort of encouraging you with it and rewarding you with a very simple, nice message works. It makes you feel good. So thinking about behaviour change at personal level is really important, because if you don't get that right, 50-50, you're a bit buggered. The next dimension is the one outside the person, the social environment. And that can drive change in a massive way. We're effectively social animals. We move in herds. British people, you see a queue, you join it. For this bit, this is thinking around, well, what is it that society or the social circle around an individual or group of individuals, what is it that's important to them? What do they kind of see as sort of desirable, high-status, aspirational behaviours, ways to behave? Because again, if your thing is working against that, you're in a lot of trouble. But if you can reframe and think about, well, how can I use that kind of the social norms and the collective sort of sense of what good looks like, then you're riding a really good wave for that, which is fantastic. And I guess in a digital space, the word social currency kind of immediately comes to mind when you think about that side of stuff. And I guess that's a really valuable tool and thing to use, but you've kind of got to be careful with it, because there's a lot of stuff out there that sort of, encourages you to, again, I don't know, I'm on kind of to-do lists and self-helpy stuff, but there is another app that's very much in that space, that's you kind of sign up to do something and you log your progress, and if you don't do it, it sends a tweet out for you or sticks something on Facebook saying, hey, you've not done it. Now, that can be good if you're happy with that, and also if you're happy with everyone knowing that that's a goal you're trying to achieve, but you might not be. You might not want all of your friends and peers and professional peers to know that you're trying to achieve that goal. So in that sense, that kind of example fails quite a lot, really. So that social piece is really important, and it can drive a huge amount of change, but you've got to be careful with the balance, and you've got to really understand it. And I guess the level outside the social, the physical, normally, when you think about behaviour change around sustainability, unfortunately people tend to look around and see bricks and mortar and recycling bins, God's sakes, and PV and all this sort of stuff. And the physical environment really influences how we behave. It channels us down certain roads, down certain routes. We get directed to go in certain directions if the physical environment is designed in that way. Quite often, it's not designed with that in mind at all. And there's some really interesting stuff going on in the kind of built environment world around that, which is fascinating stuff to look at. But I guess in a digital world, it's interesting to put another lens on it and think about abundance and scarcity, because scarcity is the way that people approach it from a physical world. It's like, well, there's a scarcity of design that's helping us to achieve this certain type of behaviour change, so we need to adjust the environment, put new things in it to encourage that. I guess in the digital space, scarcity is relevant. So Loco 2, it was massive pain in the arse to organise trans-European rail travel before Loco 2 came on board. You know, I spent like an hour and a half researching and trying to book an overnight train to Madrid from London. Like an hour and a half is ridiculous. You can do that really quickly now because the infrastructure is there digitally. You know, the infrastructure is there for you to start your own little home business and sell stuff on Etsy. You couldn't before. But abundance is really the interesting one, because actually there's so much stuff you could do online. There are so many people trying new things, new projects, new ways of connecting. How do you manage that bit, that kind of abundance of infrastructure almost, to get people to sort of navigate it in the way you want them to do it, in order to kind of make the world a better place? So, a little model that might be useful. Maybe not tonight, but tomorrow. Cheers, guys.